Hello and welcome to another video, and this is, I guess, we'll call it early impressions slash a review of the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion remake. I have basically done nothing. I've put every other game on hold. Anything else that I was playing, I have pushed it to the side, and I've devoted all of my time, every single minute of it, that I have free, that isn't, work or life related, to playing the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. You guys know on the channel, it is in my top 5. It's a top 3 game. It's my third favorite game of all time. The only other games ahead of it would be Halo 3 at number 2, and of course Resident Evil, the original, the GameCube remake, specifically at number 1. But Oblivion is an incredibly special game to me. It came at it's a game that came at the right time. It kind of renewed my love for console gaming after I don't want to use the terms fallen astray to PC gaming, because there is a crowd that loves PC gaming, but there was a brief 2-year period in the early 2000s that I did not play a lot of console games. I still rented games on the weekends and stuff, but during high school, but a lot of that time I spent playing stuff on PC, and the 360 was kind of my real big back push to get back into console gaming. And with all that being said, the reason I bought an Xbox 360 was to play the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Famously, the game was delayed until March of 2006. It's a game I've talked about on the channel. It's a game that almost cost me a semester of college, because it was pretty intense. I got really sucked into the game in a big bad way. So here we are, 19 years and some odd change later, and Bethesda has shadow dropped as of last Tuesday, which was the 22nd, 23rd, somewhere around there. They shadow dropped, as rumored for a long time, the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered. And so the review, I will first say, this review, early impressions, whatever we're going to call this, I've played it everywhere. I have played it on PC. I've played it on console. By console, I mean I've played it on Series X, and I'm also currently playing it on PS5 Pro. The PS5 Pro version is the version I have spent the most time with. And then PC. The Series X, I spent very little time, and that was just pulling my, Play Anywhere save from the PC version over to the Series X. I maybe spent an hour with that version. But most of my almost 40 hours now has been put into the PS5 Pro version of the game. First thing right off the bat, I'll say, if you're somebody out there that has a PlayStation 5 Pro and you're looking for a real upgrade from, Xbox Series X, regular PS5, whatever, I don't think Oblivion Remastered came to show you that. As I've looked at every version of this game, I think that they all kind of are great in their own way. But if you were looking for that extra oomph out of the PS5 Pro, I don't think it really shows that very well in comparison to playing the Series X. And I would say, again, Series X really kind of pulling it out here. It is also important to note, at the time of this video, there is a patch that exists on the Series X and S version that does not exist on the PlayStation version of the game. The PC version, unfortunately, is a little broken right now. They removed the DLSS functionality for whatever reason. They're trying to get that fixed. So it's a little bit of a mess, but I've seen some people out there saying, oh, you should avoid it until they patch it. And I will tell you, for someone who's an Oblivion diehard like myself, it is nostalgic in all the right and wrong ways at the same time, so it's not really bothering me. What Bethesda has done here is they took the game, they passed the baton over to Virtuoso, who are the people that have worked on some other big remaster projects, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe they're the people that were behind the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater remaster for 1 and 2 and the upcoming 3 and 4. This would obviously be this team's largest project. But what they did essentially here is they took the game, they dumped it into Unreal 5, made it incredibly, like, just incredible looking visually, and did not really fix a lot of anything else. And to the point that there are problems in this version of the game that realistically should not be a problem 20 years later, but exist because that's exactly what they did here. And I'll give a prime example of that. So if you ever played the 360 version, famously, one of the big things that would happen in that version of the game is if you left autosave on at every interval that it can be on, so like going into a new area, whatever the case may be, basically after every load screen, the game will autosave if you have it set that way. It creates a caching issue on the 360. What that does is it really destroys the frame rate and really makes the game unplayable. The only real way to reset that is to, back in the day, it was to shut off your console and restart it. Here, I ran into the same issue, not realizing that's what it was. I just genuinely thought I got to an area in the game where the frame rate was just bad, and it ended up crashing on me. This game has crashed on me twice on the PS5 Pro. But this time it crashed. I reloaded the game and it was fine. The same area, I had no problems, and I realized it's the same caching issue from 20 years ago. Why that exists in 2025, I don't know, but it furthers my point that I don't think this team really did a lot of work under the hood other than make it look exceptionally good visually. So it has and inhabits a lot of those glitches and issues that the 360 version of the game had. One of the other big issues the game has, of course, is a frame rate hitch. This was a famous issue with the original Oblivion release on 360. Of course, it's still an issue here. It is something also that they are working on patching. But I will say my experience has been best with this on PS5 Pro. It's not perfect. It was more noticeable for me on PC and Series X, mostly PC. Again, I'm on an older CPU. I'm looking to build a new machine in spring of next year, so about a year from now. So I expect my computer, to take some CPU hits, but it's a remaster of a 20-year-old game. It shouldn't be having these kind of issues. So you got to take that with what it is. And I also have a 4070 in my machine. Like, it should be doing much better than it is with the hitching issue. It is noticeable on the Series X. It is noticeable again on PS5 Pro, but it doesn't seem like it's as big of an issue. I will also say, like, the game does possess a quality and performance mode. I'm playing it on performance. I did try quality mode. Quality mode is hot garbage. It makes the game run at 30 frames. Supposedly makes the game look better, but again, I tried this on a PS5 Pro, and I didn't think it looked any better between the performance mode. And the performance mode runs at not at a lock 60, but it's hitting 60 most of the time, at least for me. So it'd be nice if they would have put out like a VRR setting for people that have that ability, because my TV has that ability, but it is what it is. But putting all of those, things aside, I'm just happy this game exists. I'm happy that there's not only for fans like me that love and adore this game, and this is not only one of my favorite games of all time, it's my favorite Elder Scrolls game. I think it's miles ahead storytelling wise above Skyrim. There's a lot of just really good content in this game. And I'm glad that not only fans get to re-experience this, but also there's a new generation of gamers that maybe never played this. They only know Skyrim. And this is their chance to experience an entirely new adventure in a different part of Tamriel. So all of that is awesome. Also, price tag. If you have Game Pass, obviously the game's on Game Pass. You can play it on PC. You can play it on Xbox Series X or S, or you can buy it, and the digital price of the game is $50. You want the deluxe with the horse armor, because of course they had to do that. It's $60. I think that's more than fair for what's being offered here for a remake. I will say, I've seen a lot of people out there like, oh, this is a remake. When the trailer first hit, they were showing footage. It's like, no, it really is a remaster, because it's just a very pretty paint job on top of a game that has some problems that really should be fixed. Like, they did put out there, and there are, like, I don't want to say that they didn't do anything either. It's important to note that there are things in this that they did update, quality of life improvements. One of the biggest ones is you can sprint now. You could not famously sprint in the original Oblivion. You just had to put a lot of points into your speed or endurance, and you would get there eventually where you would just naturally run faster. But here you actually have a sprint option, and that's very welcome. Another thing that I'm a little mixed on that they did here is when you start the game, you can fast travel to any of the major cities once you get out of the sewers. I'm a little mixed on that because I think a lot of the fun of these types of games is exploring the world and finding this stuff on your own, and to take that away at the beginning of the game and just let you fast travel, it makes it a lot easier. Another important thing to note that the achievement list is identical. For PlayStation users, it's the first time that you ever had trophies for this game, which is awesome. But for Xbox users, it is the same exact list, which is both a blessing and I don't want to say curse, but a disappointment. It's a blessing because it's a very fucking easy 1,000 out of 1,000 title. It is weird that they went back and they combined the DLC into the list of 1,000 points on the Xbox because it was a 1250 game originally with the Shivering Isles expansion. PlayStation, they obviously the trophy system, they break it out by the game and then the DLC, but it does have a platinum trophy. It's a very, if you wanted to just, if you're an Oblivion expert, like kind of like me, I've played many hours of Oblivion. I know that map like the back of my hand. You can, like, I could have easily this weekend sat here and platinum the game, like no question. You can easily put this game on novice, fly through it, do the different factions, do the main quest, and be done. And I just think for what this game offers for the world, the storytelling, I think that you owe it to yourself to just go at your own pace, play the game, explore the world. And that's where I've had the most fun once again, 20 years later, is just exploring this world. It feels more alive and vibrant with the new visuals, and they've done a lot of work in that aspect. There are characters. I'll give an example. I'm not going to try and butcher the guy's name, but the lead head of the Dark Brotherhood, who famously is a vampire, they actually do some cool shit with that character where they couldn't really do this in the original game because of the time, but it's obvious when you talk to him. Like sometimes he appears older and bald in this version, sometimes he's younger, and that's because he's just fed, because he's a vampire. So kind of interesting. I noticed that today when I was playing the game. I was like, that's a cool thing that they probably couldn't have done 20 years ago. Has the same exact soundtrack as it did 20 years ago. They didn't do anything to change that, which is fine. That soundtrack is a banger. The Skyrim soundtrack is a banger. So I'm glad that they didn't do anything stupid like try to remix it or whatever. But I can't recommend it enough. Like, this is the time. Like, if you've never played Oblivion, if you've never experienced this game, this is like Western RPGs at its finest. It is a true, like, at the time, 10 out of 10 game. I would say if I were going to give this any kind of score, I'd give it probably an 8 out of 10 if I was going to score it right now. And that's just simply because it needs some patches, it needs some work to make it truly just this great package. But if you were to pick it up and play it right now, I say 8 out of 10. It is a fantastic time. It's an incredible trip down memory lane, trip down playing Oblivion once again. You guys know I've done a couple videos on the channel over the years about Oblivion and what the game means to me. My only other takeaway, kind of bummer about it, is I really was hoping they were going to make a physical edition of this game, maybe do a collector's edition with another gold coin so I could put it next to my other one. It really seems like Bethesda's just throwing this out as a digital only thing, and that's fine, but I was really hoping for something more on that front. And there's still time. Maybe they will do something down the road, but this is a fantastic trip and return to the world of Oblivion, the world of Cyrodiil, and I cannot recommend it enough. If you haven't had a chance to play it yet, go play it, man. It is just an incredible experience, and even just doing the intro again, getting through the sewers, coming out of the sewers for the first time and seeing the world once again just takes me right back to that moment in 2006 for the first time, like playing the game, having that moment, seeing the world and being like, you can go anywhere and do anything right now. Like, you do not have to follow this main quest line. You can just go off on a fucking adventure and do whatever the fuck you want. So highly recommend it. I'd love to know, are you enjoying your time with Oblivion? 4 million people played it over the weekend between Game Pass and purchases. So I'd love to know in the comments below what you think about the Oblivion Remaster. Stay tuned to the channel. I will at some point be looking at Clair Obscur. I do have a copy of it. I have not even had a chance to open it yet because of Oblivion. I will also be looking at Doom, the Dark Ages next month as well. That actually probably will be the next game that I realistically look at before looking at Clair Obscur. But let me know in the comments below what you think about the Oblivion remake, and I will catch you later.